Hello, and welcome to the Culture Cave. I'm Anthony. I'm here to talk about 1899 again. I'm going to do a video just like this, with a discussion-based video with my face in it. I know the higher produced sort of video essay style videos are better, in my opinion. I like making those as well. But I've been making so many videos recently that I have an idea, I want to get it up, and based on just being busy and having work and the family and everything, the only way to get to this one in particular is through this medium. So there are loads more highly produced videos coming, don't you worry about that. But this one in particular, I'm going to go in this style. Of course, all the usual plugs. Conrad and I are going to be breaking down every episode. He's never seen it, go and check it out. I've got an explain video, which is more like my first thoughts video. I've got a questions I want answered video. Go and check that if you haven't already. But for this video, I want to focus on theories that I made before the show, and have they come true? Well, not really. There's new ones now, and the analysis of the show. Now, as I watch the show more and more and more, I'm going to be able to do deeper analysis. But the Greek mythology within the show is quite large. So I want to start off looking at that. So the Greek mythology, okay? So Greek mythology within the show was clearly always going to be a big thing, because Kerberos, the boat Kerberos is named Kerberos. We had the boat Prometheus. So we always knew these words meant something, okay? Now, as with Dark, now I'm not going to focus too much on Dark, but as with Dark, these creators sprinkle these influences throughout, okay? So they sprinkle them throughout. So sometimes when I'm saying it has importance somewhere, it doesn't mean that it sort of is analogous 100% to the Greek mythology. They might have just wanted to create the feeling, okay? So for example, when Angel gives the cigarette to Cresta through the bars, very much to me symbolizing the idea that he's handing fire, he's Prometheus in that moment, handing fire to the mortals, okay? So the way that they focus in on his hand giving the cigarette, and that really, for me, created an idea that the upper deck was sort of like the heavens, and this was the gods, okay? And then you had the lower decks, which are the mortals, okay? So that was a symbolism I think they were going for. Is that going to have me create a theory for the whole end of the show, or where we're going to go in season 2? Maybe not. I think that might have just been symbolism they were trying to achieve in terms of a class comment they were trying to make, and I think it was pretty cool. But what I want to talk about is, I think we all know, I want to talk about this mural in the dining room. And it's something that I theorized quite a lot about. And if you watch my theory videos prior to release, you know that I settled on a few of these characters and who I think they are within this, based on statues from the real world, what they're based on. Now, when I was theorizing for this before the show came out, I really thought it was going to be something around a cult. And I'll tell you why. Because they were drinking together. We had this Virginia, who I thought was going to be like a head of a cult. I think we can all agree that wasn't necessarily true. Having said that, what I did, because of what they've done before with Dark, with like the big image in a big hall where it's sort of a cult-like or following nature to that sort of aspect of the storyline, I thought they were going to go with that again. Not at all did I expect them not to focus on this at all. Now, maybe that'll change in season 2. Maybe if they have to come back into the Kerberos simulation for whatever reason, maybe that'll change and we'll focus on this more. I didn't expect it just to be there for set dressing, basically, for us to, it sort of implies things. Having said that, though, I really wanted to see what this was about, and luckily, Emily Beecham put it up on her Twitter, so we have a high-quality version of the image now, and that really does make me think that potentially this is just set dressing to get us thinking, rather than we're going to have characters talking about what's in it like we did with Dark with the pictures of Adam and Eve and all that sort of thing. So the reason I think that is because Emily Beecham's clearly got the okay to post this, and they wouldn't let her post it if it was seen as major spoilers or anything like that. So, there's the image. First of all, I'm going to point out, obviously, the two boats. There's two boats within the first season of the show. I didn't know if you knew that. Well, there's actually a lot more than two in that graveyard of ships, but there's two boats. In the middle, we have the whirlpool. We also have like lots of souls or lots of people, sort of, it's seeming to go into the whirlpool. You can take a closer inspection of that. Also, in the middle, I was sort of thinking maybe it was going to be like the Philosopher's Stone. And I think that the idea of immortality definitely still is in the show, and I'll talk about that maybe in another video. But I will say that in the middle of the picture is very clearly, to me now, a family. So there's like, seems to be two adults, there's head, and a child. So the center of this all could potentially come down to Daniel, Maura, and Elliot. So, yeah, pretty cool. I'm sure there's more symbolism that we can go through into later, but just to show you, it wasn't actually the Philosopher's Stone in the middle, or the all-seeing eye, which I thought it might be. It's actually just a family, and family is core to everything here, the relationships and all that sort of thing. So, let's have a look at the images themselves then. So we've got, as I thought on the left, very high quality image here. It is Hercules wrestling the Cerberus. Then we have Nyx, the goddess of the night. I'm not fully convinced on that one yet. It is Nyx, I'm pretty sure, because it does match perfectly a statue that TDCargo on Reddit did. Found that statue. Having said that, I don't know what character fits Nyx at the minute. So you'll see what I mean later on, but I'm not sure what character fits it. Then you've got Zeus holding his lightning staff, and then you've also got Prometheus being pecked by, I think it's the falcon of Zeus. Correct me on the bird if I'm wrong. Prometheus, of course, strapped to a rock, serving out his days for the crime of stealing fire and giving it to the mortals. So, what does this all mean? Well, first of all, we have, now a little bit more detail maybe, I suppose, Hercules. Now, part of her Hercules story is going into the underworld, defeating Cerberus, wrestling Cerberus, and part of his story is actually freeing Prometheus. Okay, so that's really, really important to the symbolism. Then you've got Nyx, obviously the goddess of the night, mother to many, including Hypnos, the god of sleep. So Nyx could be a huge part of this. I sort of was predicting potentially Maura for Nyx back before the show came out. Not fully convinced on that yet, but I will talk about that a bit more later. Then Zeus, obviously, I mean, a bit of a nothing god, really. No, I don't think Zeus has ever mentioned anything, actually. So one of the smaller gods for sure. And then we got Prometheus. As I mentioned, Prometheus stole fire from the mortals, gave it to stole fire, gave it to the mortals, and then was punished by Zeus for all time until Hercules came and freed him. Okay, so that's that. So let's go through who I think is each. So Hercules, first of all, I think there's no doubt it's got to be Daniel. In the first season, he comes into the Cerberus simulation, he defeats the Cerberus simulation, and he frees Maura. So that's sort of where I'm coming from at it, just for the first season. In Dark, again, I don't want to sort of give too many Dark spoilers, but in Dark there was a lots of Greek mythology sort of threads, pun intended, given out to the audience, and I think that sometimes they were for the season they were given out in, but then also they seem to work if you apply them to the whole season in general. So just because I'm particularly saying that in this role it looks like this character is portraying this, well, actually, when we look back at this after 3 seasons, we might actually think something completely different, because as it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, with Dark it definitely got deeper and deeper and deeper, and the metaphors and analogies started growing and changing. So we'll see if that happens again. But Hercules, for me, is Daniel in this first season. He goes into the Cerberus simulation and defeats it, and then frees Maura. Well, that brings up the question, who is Maura then? Because if he frees Maura, well, Hercules freed Prometheus, so that would imply to me that Maura is Prometheus. Now, obviously, this could be... The reason why this doesn't really... I feel that Maura is potentially Prometheus, in this season anyway. But the reason why it feels a bit strange to me is because you look back at the image from Emily Beecham's Twitter, and even just like in general, the main image. At the front, we have Hercules and Nyx. Okay, so they're sort of front and center. And that made me straight away think it must be Maura. Maura must be Nyx. So, although I'm saying that she fits the Prometheus role here, maybe the long-term plan of Daniel is to free Elliot as well, and potentially Elliot is actually Prometheus being punished by having to be pecked by the falcon for loop upon loop upon loop. Potentially Elliot is Prometheus in the long run. Having said that, in this first season, Maura is the one that's freed, so therefore I'm going to view it as, just even for this analysis today, Maura fits this Prometheus role. So the reason I think Henry might be Zeus here is because Henry is the one who is Henry's the one who's like sort of chained Maura to the rock. He chained Prometheus to the rock. He's the one who keeps putting Maura back into the loop with the injections. So that's why I think maybe he fits that role, chaining her to the rock. And then we've got Nyx, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. At the minute, I'm not quite sure about Nyx, the goddess of night. Maybe that just maybe she just symbolizes maybe the black matter that's there. Maybe Nyx has something to do with that. Maybe Nyx is I'm not sure now. I'm not sure. Maybe Nyx is Kieran. I don't know. But Nyx is at the front there, so it seems to be. I don't know why. My head just thinks that it's like a battle between two sides. I don't know why I'm going down that way. I suppose it's because of Dark, as well as the idea of the Brexit thing, where it's yes or no, remain or leave. That is still in my head, and if you're chuckling at me talking about Brexit again, just wait till the end of this video. So the idea of division, I think, is going to be key, and community and sort of connections and relationships, because Yontra Friesa did say in the behind the scenes special, the thing that they want to make the show about and what it's about. It's why are we here? So it's about why are we here? What's the point of being in the world? And yes, I do expect that to go into big questions, like reality based questions and stuff like that. But I also think it's going to come down to as we saw from the middle of the mural, family and connections and relationships, and so therefore I think that the idea of one side versus the other, well, we've already talked about avoiders and seekers, so that does make sense for me as well. In terms of two sides, you have avoiders and seekers. So we already had Henry hinting at that. So I think that potentially Nyx at the front of that mural is going to have more of a say. In the long run. It's just at this minute, I think it's a bit cloudy. I'm sure if someone's more familiar with Greek mythology than me, pop in the comments there and let me know. But at the minute, this is what I'm thinking. I think there is clear an analogy there. And then we've got Kieran. Now, I think Kieran might be next, but I don't really know. Kieran, let's say there's two things. If Maura is indeed Nyx somehow, right? Perhaps Maura. Like, one of the theories is that this simulation is all actually. There's loads of crazy stuff. Like, for example, Maura isn't actually a real person, and she's just an AI that's being created. And the idea is that they're trying to wake her up. It talks about the work Henry's done on the brain. Perhaps like he's trying to create an AI, and maybe Kieran's one version of the AI, or the first one he created, and so therefore Kieran left because Kieran went away, and now Maura is his new AI that he wants to create, and it's the one that he thinks is going to make it. So therefore. There's a load of stuff going on. My point is that if Kieran is, if Maura is Nyx, then Kieran could be Erebus, who is Nyx's brother, who is the god of darkness, so darkness and night, potentially there. On the other hand, if with viewing Maura as Prometheus, then Kieran could be Atlas, and that actually kind of works as well, because obviously the Atlantic Ocean, they're going across the Atlantic Ocean, But also, you think about Atlas holding up the sky. And I like the idea of the person someone has to be in control of the simulation, right? So imagine that. Imagine the simulation as the sky in this metaphor. Someone has to be in control of it. Someone has to be holding it up. And there has been some stories about like Hercules holding it up for Atlas for a little bit and then tricking Atlas to take it back. So if we view the idea of holding up the sky as being in control of the simulation, then there might be something in that. I'm going to look more into that as well. But loads of stuff here in Greek mythology for us. Loads of stuff. And that's just me scratching the tip of the iceberg there, I think. But to end this video very quickly, I just want to talk about Brexit. My predictions for it to be about Brexit, okay? Because some people even commented on my old predictions theories, saying, obviously, you were wrong, it wasn't about Brexit. The creators said it was, okay? So another thing is that I can see this Brexit, oozing out of every pore of this show. And I'll tell you why, right? So first of all, we've got the idea of decisiveness. It's not decisive, divisiveness. So we've got decisions being made which are dividing people. So for example, we have the idea that Ike decides to turn the ship around. We have the idea that Ike decides to go to the Prometheus. These are divisive things. We can all understand that. Now, is that enough influence from Brexit? I don't know. But one of the things that I predicted was that there was going to be the idea of people disagreeing about letting the people from the Prometheus onto the Kerberos. I said it's going to be like in real life when a lot of the Brexit arguments were around immigrants and should immigration be as open as it is in the EU? And a lot of people thought it shouldn't be. and a lot of people thought it should. And I said that I think that that is going to be a key theme in the show. And I, going to be honest with you, I did expect more people when I was first theorizing to be on the Prometheus. And yes, there is only one person on the Prometheus. That is, in fact, this little guy, Elliot. He's the only person on the Prometheus when they get there. But ding, 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 I'm exactly right. My theory was exactly correct. What did we get? We got a full-blown mutiny because people wanted to kill him. People didn't want this immigrant on their ship. Okay, and they blamed him for all the issues on the ship. Everything that was going wrong, they blamed Elliot. Just like everyone who wanted to leave the EU, not everyone, but a lot of people who wanted to leave the EU blamed immigrants for NHS queues, blamed immigrants for a load of stuff, right? So that was my point. I think I'm pretty clear. It's pretty clear that my theory in terms of how this show is going to be inspired by Brexit was pretty correct. So I just want to put that out there as... I don't want to sit and talk... Like, 1899 is so much more than Brexit. I agree with the commenter in that regard. So I would have preferred everyone was just like, yeah, understand. It actually does have themes of Brexit. We understand that. It's the themes of divisiveness in general. They were inspired by Brexit, and then they went through the divisive nature. And it isn't just the UK who has these political things, okay? Of course, we know around the world, all different politicians run on campaigns similar to this. But they mention Brexit by name in an interview, and that's why I talk about Brexit by name rather than just the idea of this type of politics. But anyway, so they didn't want him on the boat. They thought he was causing all the problems, and they literally started a mutiny over it. So there's no argument to be made. The theme of Brexit is very clear in this show. But anyway, okay, thanks very much for watching, guys. Very scattershot that video, but I wanted to get something out about these thoughts initially, because by the time I have a full sort of 10-minute actual proper produced video about it, like, you know, these thoughts will be long gone. You know, I wanted to get initial thoughts of the Greek mythology out, and then obviously the Brexit stuff as well. But thanks very much for watching. If you thought this was interesting, this more discussion-based style, let me know. If you prefer the more highly produced stuff, don't worry, there's more on the way. I've got a video cooking at the minute for Dark versus 1899, because I want to look at differences and similarities, okay? Differences and similarities between those two. There's also a computer science style video coming where there's a great post on Reddit, which I'm going to be obviously sourcing and referencing throughout the video, where people think that there's a big ICT influence in this show. My little 2 cents on that would be Ada. I want to talk about Ada. Ada is a very interesting character to me. Very interesting character to me. The only other child in the show. And I think, personally, that Ada doesn't really exist. So that's a little hint to my further theory. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!